This is Darren with My RV Works, and today what I want to talk to you about is refrigerators. Now, when you're diagnosing your refrigerator, what we like is to start on the AC side only. There's just too many things that it could be if you try to troubleshoot your refrigerator on the LP side. So if we're going to troubleshoot the cooling performance of our refrigerator, let's go with the AC side only, and that'll eliminate a lot of questionable things of propane too much, propane too little, pressure, and all this kind of stuff. So when troubleshooting, we're going to troubleshoot on the AC side only. If you're having issues with your refrigerator, the absorption refrigerator, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to use your senses. I want you to use your smell, your sight, and I want you to use your hearing. Okay? Do you see a yellow residue down at the bottom of the boiler? If you see that residue, you got a failed cooling unit. If you smell an ammonia, strong ammonia smell, either inside or outside here, that's another indication that you have a failed cooling unit. If you hear a gurgling sound coming from coming from the cooling unit, if you hear this gurgling sound, like a hiss, another indication that you've got a breach in your cooling unit. Okay? So if you have either of those things, you see the yellow, you smell the ammonia, or you hear the gurgling, full stop, failed cooling unit. But let's say that you pass those three tests, that your sight, your hearing, and your smelling all pass, there's nothing wrong with it. You're pretty convinced that the integrity of the cooling unit is intact. The next thing we need to look at is the leveling of the refrigerator. Leveling is very, very important because it is a gravity-fed system. As the heat works its way up, and it needs to have gravity coming down. If you've ever looked in the back of, if you take the vent off and you look in the back, there's like a 3-degree angle that is all they give you of off levelness. So when you're leveling your coach, you really need to make sure that your RV is in fact level. The other thing is your heat source. Your heat has to be correct. We need to have an adequate amount of heat, so we need to make sure that our heating element is a correct wattage, and also that we have proper insulation of our refrigerator. So when I talk about that, then that gets into the next thing of ventilation. If it is a heating appliance, we have to get outside ambient air into the bottom. That's why it's louvered and vented, brought inside like a chimney. It's got to scrub the heat off of the cooling unit coils in the back, the absorber coil, the condenser fin up at the top. It's got to scrub the heat off and then vacate out of either the top of the RV if your refrigerator is not in a slide room, or if your RV is, if your refrigerator is in a slide room, then it needs to come in, go up, make a right-hand turn, exit stage left, or right, whatever. Ventilation is very important for this. So as creating a chimney, you don't want to have any heat breaches, because you'll have areas of pockets of heat where it can not have that perfect good flow. If you cannot scrub the heat off the back of your cooling unit, you're never going to absorb the heat inside your refrigerator, and you're never going to have cold food. On this refrigerator, we want zero clearance between the walls, the side of the refrigerator, zero clearance between the side of the refrigerator and the wall. If there's a gap, fill it in with insulation. On the top, zero clearance on the top. So we've talked about zero clearance on the sides, zero clearance on the top. You need a baffle if your refrigerator's in a slide room. Well, what about the back wall? We want less than a 1-inch clearance from the back of your fins, the back of your absorber coil and the whole side, less than 1 inch from the back of the cooling unit to the back wall of the refrigerator. If it's greater than a 1 inch, air has a tendency to be kind of lazy, and it's going to take the path of least resistance, and it's going to come in the bottom fin and just zip right on past everything, never scrubbing the heat off, and therefore you're going to have cooling performance issues. So that's your ventilation problem. So you need to verify that zero on the sides, zero on the top. If you're in a slide room, a baffle, and no more than a 1-inch gap on the back. If you don't have that kind of installation, if you don't have that spec, that could be the whole problem right there. There could be nothing wrong with your components. The refrigerator could be perfectly fine. It's just not installed correctly. So let's say that we've passed our smell, we've passed our sight, we've passed our hearing. Let's say that our RV is level. Let's say that our refrigerator is level. Let's say that we know that our ventilation is good. Once you're convinced that those things are correct, then we need to start looking at some components. If you're at that point, then the very next step, after you've confirmed all the things we've just discussed, is to do what's called the bypass mode. The bypass mode is where you're going to want to run your refrigerator for 6 to 8 hours in full-on mode. So the way you're going to do full bypass mode is you're going to unplug your thermistor. So the thermistor is a thing inside your food compartment. It's going to be attached to the fins inside your food compartment. Depending on the refrigerator model you have will determine if the thermistor is on the left, the right, or in the center, and how many fins over it is. Where do you find out this information? Well, in the manual for the refrigerator. If you're having a hard time finding the manual for a refrigerator, one resource that I can recommend is on our website, myrvworks.com. We have a resource tab. Click on the resource tab and navigate down. You're going to see a service manual library. And I don't have all the manuals, but I do collect a lot of manuals. And you could click and you could filter for Dometic. You could filter for your refrigerator. You could do air conditioners too. We have them there. And pull up the service manual or the spec sheet, parts manuals, things like that for your particular refrigerator. Like I say, I don't have them all, but the ones that I've come across over the years, I've been collecting them, and I just decided to throw them up there and share them with you people. So once you have your manual, you can determine your thermistor. The thermistor is a resistor that changes resistance based on temperature. Okay, so as the temperature inside your food compartment increases and decreases, that thermistor is sending a ohms value resistance to the control board, telling the control board, hey, I'm too warm, I'm too cold, and I need to start the boiler or stop the boiler, these types of things. That is how the control board knows if it's having any effect, is through that thermistor. So by unplugging the thermistor, the control board is going to go into full auto mode. He thinks it's always too warm. Depending on your refrigerator model number will determine if you need to just unplug your thermistor, or if you need to unplug your thermistor and they have a kit that you can plug it on the outside, but unplug the thermistor or get it off the fins so it's reading more of an ambient air temperature, okay? You need to let that run for 6 to 8 hours. After 6 to 8 hours in bypass mode, now we can start to play around with some of the other parts of it. The heating element, different ventilations and things like that. With that, let me bring you in a little bit closer and start pointing out some of the things that we've discussed.
Have you ever wondered what our Patreon is all about and whether it's actually worth it? We want to give you a chance to go inside and experience it for yourself. So for the month of June, we're offering a free month of membership to our RV Tech tier. Inside, you'll find our growing video library, ad-free content, and monthly Zoom calls where Darren walks through real-world repairs and what we're seeing out in the field. Plus, you'll also get exclusive worksheets and tool discounts. To redeem, just click the link above or in the description. Once you're in, you'll be able to browse the library, join a monthly Zoom call, access exclusive worksheets, and use our tool discounts. All right, now back to the video.
So what we have here on the side, I wanted to show you, this has got a zero clearance on the side, on this side, and if we pan over to this side, it's got a zero clearance on this side. So it's passed those two tests, okay? And if we pan up to the top, we'll notice that this manufacturer put a baffle, if you will. So air is coming up, it's hitting this baffle, and it's being forced to go through the absorber coils right here. If this baffle was not here, then the air would be drawn in, and I would have like a foot distance between the back wall and the absorber coil. And we know that air is lazy. It's just going to take this path right here because it's a path of least resistance, and it's going to vent up to the top, never going through the absorber coil. Therefore, we're never going to scrub the heat off the absorber coil. Therefore, we're never going to have a cool refrigerator. Okay, on this particular board, the thermistor is going to be this pin here. Okay, let me unplug him. Okay, so here we have this 2-wire connector. Okay, just a 2-wire connector here, and again, a thermistor is a resistor that changes value based on temperature. So in order to see what the value is on this, we're going to need a meter. Okay, so I'm going to use my meter. I'm going to go to ohms, because ohms is going to give us a resistance value. And do we ever go in on the front? Only if we absolutely have to. But if we can, let's go in on the back. Okay? That way we don't hurt the pins. Now, I have a value right here. And I'll take you inside and I'll show you. What I've done about 10 minutes ago is I took a coffee cup, put some ice cubes in it, and filled it with water. And I took the thermistor off, and I'm going to take you inside and show you this. And I have the thermistor sitting inside that coffee cup with a food thermometer. And we're going to go read what that food thermometer says the water temperature is. And then we're going to come out here and see what this, there's a K right there, right? That's 8,290 ohms of resistance on this thermistor right here. So let's go inside. We'll look inside the refrigerator, and let's look at what the food thermometer says that the temperature is, and then we'll compare it with this, all right? Okay, we've come into the refrigerator, and here you see I have a a coffee cup with some ice. The thermistor is normally located on the fin right here. And you see a little blue dot. That would be like a sweet spot for it, okay? And these are the fins, okay? Remind me to tell you about the defrosting cycle. So here we have a cup full of ice, and let's just see what this food thermometer is going to tell us the temperature is, because he's been sitting in here for, like I said, okay, so 33 degrees, okay, 33 degrees. So we have in here a 33 degree, the tip of that thermistor is at 33 degrees, okay? So let's see what our ohms value is on the thermistor. Okay, so in there we had, 33 degrees. Here I have 8,400 ohms, because there's a K, 8,400 ohms connected to the back of the resistor. So here I have a sheet, printed it right out of the, actually, on my website, I mentioned it before, this is the refrigerator thermostat R value sheet, right off of my, so myrvworks.com, resource tab, manual library, refrigerator, Dometic, and then the refrigerator thermistor R value. So let's do it this way. Let's take 8,330, okay? So we're gonna go, okay, so here we have, let me see if I can, 8,000, what is it? 8,300. So 8,000, here's 8,300 right there. Close enough. I mean, come on, just give me a plus or minus here, if you will. So 8,300, we're gonna go across here. We're in the United States, so we're gonna use Fahrenheit at 36 degrees. 36 degrees Fahrenheit. So that just proved that our thermistor is pretty good. So did you see how that worked? Now, if I were to take that thermistor and put a hair dryer on it or something like that, then we're gonna go over here. Let's see, here's 40 degrees. I'm gonna have it, or Fahrenheit. At, let's say, 90 degrees, my resistor is gonna give me 2,000 ohms. And at minus, I don't know, let's pick one, minus 20, it's going to give me, or minus Fahrenheit, minus 4, thinking I'm in Canada, eh? At minus 4, it's going to be 28,000 ohms. So you see these numbers, the resistance is going to change based on temperature. So we've just proven that our thermistor is fine, but hey, your thermistor could have been bad. So we've talked about smelling, seeing, hearing. We talked about the importance of leveling. We talked about the installation. Now we're troubleshooting components. We now know how to test our thermistor with our value, with our sheet. We know where to get our sheet. Let's talk about the heating element next. So now you say you're suspecting your heating element's bad. Well, the heating element is this device up here, okay? I have a whole nother video on troubleshooting the heating element and removing and installing the heating element. So if you are having issues, go into there. But I do want to touch upon it while I'm here, but I've got much more details on the other videos. We're going to need our meter again. Okay, we're going to grab our meter. Now, guess what? We're going to go to the manual again, right? This manual is going to show us the heating element. Now, this is for the AC heating element. There's another sheet for the DC heating element. And we're going to come down here. Now, this particular refrigerator is a 3862. So he's going to tell me I need a 325 watt, 120 volts. I expect 44 ohms of resistance. See ohms right here? This refrigerator, 44 ohms of resistance. Now, take a look at this, because 325, 325, 325, do here, 295, 295, 325, 325, 195, 185. Notice that all these heating elements, some of them are same, sure. And the ones that are the same are usually ones I stock. But in my service trailer as I'm doing my rounds. But I just wanted to point out that, look at here, you got a 295 watt and 95 watt, 195 watt. So don't assume that just because it looks the same, it's the right one. You gotta get the spec. So AC heating element, find your model number, 325 watts. I expect it to get 44 ohms off of that heating element. Let's check. Set this up. Go look at our horseshoe. There's a terrible glare for you. I'm pushing buttons. Let's start that over again. Let's see here. There you go. Okay. And what are we going to do? We're going to go in the front or the back. Let's go in the back. Okay. We're going to plug him in. We're going to plug him in right there. 42.2 ohms. You see that? So our heating element is good. But what if that number was different? What if somebody put a 195 watt heating element in there? Well, the resistance is going to be different. Imagine a world where there are some shops that work on your refrigerator and they just want to get you down the road and they just throw a heating element in there and it's not the right one. So we just showed you how to test your heating element. Okay, now all of these things may or may not contribute to why your cooling unit is not working. Let's talk next about control boards. Okay, now we want to determine if the control board is good. Now what we're going to be doing is testing the communication between the upper board and the lower board. We call the upper board the eyebrow board, but it could also be called the upper board. I've kind of lately been calling it the upper board. It just seems to make more sense. Guess where I got this from? My website. I think it's the Dometic Refrigerator Performance Sheet, if I'm not mistaken, off of my file system. So look here, 5 and 6 wire harnesses, okay? Now, not to be confused with the other sheet, which is the 3 wire display harness, okay? So we're gonna start with this one, okay? Da-da-da-da. We're gonna go there like that. Okay, what it's asking me to do is the harness unplug it, and I'm gonna just go through the motions here because I know everything's working. There we go. So let me get some slack out of this guy right here to pull him over to our classroom. There we go. So I've got some wires here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires. And look, I've got red, orange, green, and black. Just like the color codes right there. Do I come in from the front? No, it's going from the back. So I'm going to test everything. I'm going to reference ground, and I'm going to test them all to ground because it says test communication, test harness by unplugging from P1 and checking continuity through each wire to chassis ground. Where are we going to reference that? This bolt down here where all the grounds are connected? That's what I'm going to reference. Why there, Darren? Because that's what the refrigerator thinks ground is. So let's use the refrigerator's ground. And so then if I was suspecting that there was a communication problem, then I would just follow the directions right here. And so let me just hold this up and you can kind of get a view of some of the steps that you need to do. Okay. Good. Now, if your refrigerator has the 3 wires, let me hold this one up there for you. And you can get an idea on what to do on this one. Okay. That would be how you would text the communication between the upper board and the lower board. Well, hey folks, guess what we just did? I just walked you through some of the key highlights, some of the key pinnacles of what you would need to do if you suspect your refrigerator's not performing well. So this is a bit of a different video for me. Normally I bring you along on videos that I'm actually fixing something and it's the discovery and it's like the crime scene that we have to put it back together again. This one, I had some time and I really wanted to add value to you because I know we're going into camping season and it's important that your refrigerator is working well. So we talked about the sight, smell, and hearing. We talked about the importance of leveling, and we talked about, ventilation and heat sources and on all these types of things. We talked about the thermistor and how it works. We talked about the heating element. If this added value to you, just give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. You could subscribe to the channel. If you like these types of videos and you want to learn more about your refrigerator, just subscribe to the channel. And every time we throw a new one out there, you're going to get a little ding, 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 or however it comes to you, however you have it set up. And happy camper, say my RV works. Till next time, this is Darren signing off.
For the month of June, we're offering a free month of membership to our RV Tech tier. To redeem, just click the link above or in the description. Once you're in, you'll be able to browse the library, join a monthly Zoom call, access exclusive worksheets, and use our tool discounts.